Every time you let someone's words decide your mood for the rest of the day, you've handed them a remote control to your own mind. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. The people who rule themselves are the only ones who can never truly be ruled by anyone else. You know this feeling all too well. The comment that ruined your morning, the sudden silence that made you spiral, or the insult you replayed for hours after it was said and forgotten by everyone but you. By the end of this, you'll have 8 cold truths that take that remote control back permanent. And the first one alone explains why your reactions have been the real target all along. The people who seem untouchable aren't lucky, and they aren't emotionless. They simply stopped treating every provocation like an emergency that demands an immediate response, and that single shift changes everything downstream from it. Truth number 1 is that your reaction is the only thing anyone is actually testing. When someone insults you, the insult itself is rarely the point. They're checking whether you'll hand over control. A flinch, a raised voice, or a defensive explanation all confirm that the test was worth running, whereas absolute stillness fails the test on their behalf, ensuring most people never try a second time. This ties into truth number 2. Calm is not the absence of feeling. It's the management of timing. You're allowed to feel the full weight of an insult or a betrayal, but what you control is when that feeling gets expressed, and to whom. The untouchable person isn't numb. They've simply separated the moment of feeling from the moment of responding, and that gap is where all their power actually lives. Here's the part most people resist admitting. The reason a stranger's opinion can ruin your day isn't because the stranger is powerful. It's because some part of you was already unsure of the thing they criticized, and their words just confirmed a doubt you were already carrying alone. This brings us to truth number 3, which dictates that the need for approval is a leash, even when it's invisible. Every time you adjust your opinion, your tone, or your choices based on what will make someone like you more, you've quietly given them veto power over your own decisions. The strategist still cares what people think, but needing their agreement to feel secure in a decision already made is the actual trap. To protect yourself, remember truth number 4. Oversharing is the same as handing someone a weapon and hoping they're gentle with it. Every private fear, insecurity, or unfinished plan you reveal to someone who hasn't earned that access becomes leverage they can use, intentionally or not, the next time they want the upper hand. Information given away can never be taken back. If you want to know who to trust with your boundaries, look to truth number 5. Watching what people do under pressure tells you more than years of watching what they say when things are easy. Anyone can be kind when nothing is at stake, but the friend who stays steady when you're inconvenient and the partner who doesn't disappear when things get hard are the only data points worth trusting completely. Comfort reveals nothing. Pressure reveals everything. We're past the midpoint now, and here's a question worth sitting with honestly. Of everyone whose opinion currently has the power to ruin your day, how many of them have actually earned that level of access to your peace? Recognizing this brings us to truth number 6. Detachment from outcome is what makes you negotiate, speak, and live from strength instead of fear. The person who absolutely needs a relationship to work, needs a deal to close, or needs someone's forgiveness has already lost their footing before the conversation even starts. Wanting something and being desperate for it are two entirely different states, and only one of them keeps your judgment intact. Furthermore, truth number 7 reminds us that silence under provocation is not weakness. It's the most expensive thing you own. Most people are deeply uncomfortable with unfilled silence, so they rush to explain, defend, or fill it with noise. The moment you stop needing to fill that silence, you stop revealing where your weak points are, and a person whose weak points are invisible becomes incredibly difficult to make. Finally, truth number 8 emphasizes that self-mastery is built in private, with no audience and no applause. Nobody sees the morning you chose discipline over comfort, the conversation you didn't escalate, or the insult you let pass without a reply. Yet those invisible choices are the only ones that actually compound into the stability everyone eventually notices from the outside, long after the work was already done. The core realization underneath all 8 of these truths is that nothing outside you was ever actually capable of controlling your mind. It only ever felt that way because you kept handing over the remote without realizing you were doing it. The insult only lands if you let it sit somewhere unguarded, and the rejection only wounds if your worth was already resting on someone else's verdict. Once you understand that every one of these principles points back to the exact same single decision, the war stops being against other people and starts being against a habit of giving them access you were never required to grant. If even one of these landed, that's worth sitting with before you move on. If you want to understand what happens once you've mastered all 8 of these and people can no longer read you at all, watch, Dude. Why the quietest person is always the most dangerous. Next, take care of yourself.